Happy Friday. I am just playing around with the location of my computer. Being a perfectionist here where it really doesn't matter, but I really want it to be centered and it's not quite right. I'm coming to you from a brand new computer today, so I'm trying it without the headphones to hear what the sound is, and I feel like the camera is a lot better. So my old MacBook was from 2013, 7 years old, which is a long time given technology and all the advancements and how much more stuff we do on video now, and I feel like this camera looks a lot better. So I'm hoping the quality of the videos is going to be better. Hi Mel, say hi as you hop on. I'm really excited. Hi Kaya, lovely to see you guys. I'm excited you guys are jumping on. I don't know why, but I just felt like let's just dive into the coronavirus for a second and just talk about that from a business perspective. So I know there's a lot of fear stuff going around at the moment, and I feel like we're in such a good space running online businesses, and we get to do our business from home and our clients still need our work. So I don't know, how are you guys feeling about it? I'd love to hear. Morning timing was fab. That's amazing. So glad to hear that. I'd love to hear from you guys, like what's coming up from you as you think about coronavirus, and what are you kind of worried about for it in your business? Because I guess the biggest impact for me that I'm thinking of is I was thinking of running a retreat later in the year. I haven't sort of started to book it or share it, but I have mentioned it to a couple of people. And I'm just questioning, like, is that the right thing to go ahead? Do people want to travel? But from like a business perspective for me, I feel like it's very much still business as normal, business as usual. And I just try and remove myself from a lot of the social media hype, or not social media, but just general media hype. I think that's something that it can feed into a lot of fear, right? The fear mongering around it, and some of it is just really not helpful. So I don't know if this is something that's coming up for you guys, if you want to chat about it more, but I just thought like, hey, let's just throw it out there and see. Because I know there is a lot of talk in business circles about it, because it really is impacting people who are in tourism, people who are manufacturing, and the manufacturing is coming out of China or other places, and with borders shutting and all of that kind of stuff. But I think for me, what I'm leaning into is how lucky I am as an online business owner to be really able to carry on my business as usual. I don't congregate around large crowds of people, and I really feel like we can lean into how lucky we are. One of my clients had to isolate, like self-isolate and quarantine herself for a few days. And isn't it just amazing? Like, we can still continue to work on our business if that comes up. It's not like 14 days out of the office in a traditional job and all of those kinds of things. So I'm happy to dive into different things that are coming up for you guys there, but I'm leaning into as much as I can business as usual. So I hope that you guys are too. And trying to remove yourself from some of the like hysteria, I think is good. I believe in being alert, but not really alarmed. So I know if you've got different health conditions, if you're in contact with people in like nursing homes and hospitals and elderly family members, there is a lot of things to be concerned about. But yeah, I think like all of the things we're seeing on like Wall Street and the Australian Stock Exchange, those huge tumbles in the financial markets, it's all a result of panic thinking, right? So if everyone just as much as they can continues to be business as usual, we're not going to have those effects. Whereas everyone starts panicking and not going to things anymore, and like stockpiling, things at home and not going out to restaurants and events and like business things that they normally do, that's when we're going to start to see the impact. So I don't know, just a thought there. Hadn't super thought that through, but I'm just feeling like I'm carrying on as business as usual, and I hope you guys are too. Kaya says, same here, and I've totally tuned out all the media surrounding it, just hopping onto the World Health Org for updates every now and then, which is so true. So I think I've mentioned to you guys before, like, we don't actually have a TV in the house. We do watch Netflix sometimes on iPad, but like tuning out of some of the 24/7 media cycles that really cause panic. And I just hear updates on the radio, or if I like intentionally go in and go after it. But I think being constantly exposed to it, I noticed it with the bushfires too in Australia, like being constantly in tune and really keeping up every second of what's happening is so unhelpful for our nervous system, okay? So I love what you're saying, like when you feel like it serves you to go in and take that information, because we do, there's an element of information we do need, but also not surrounding ourselves with the hype of like some of the tabloidy type breakfast shows and all of that, which are just designed to have like viewers watching and sitting in their seats for longer watching them. So I don't know, just my 2 cents. So it has nothing to do with what I was going to talk to you about today, which was all about the things that come up in the sales process. So I've had discussions with clients before and a lot of my friends in business about discounts and the request for people to offer exchanges and all those kind of awkward things that can come up. And I just wanted to share with you some shifts I've made and that I've shared with clients over the past, few months, year or so, that have really helped them to help you think about this in a different way. So when people ask me for a discount or an exchange, the first thing is like, I don't make them wrong or say like, oh, you're, something like I actually give them credit, like amazing, like so good for you for asking what you want and empowering yourself to request something, because we're all told like, if we don't ask, we don't get, right? So I think it's really nice when people do that. But my answer is like, I'm just a hard no on that, right? So that's completely fine. Like, and when you are the no to that, it doesn't mean you are going to necessarily lose that sale. So I think that's really important sometimes, is people are asking that to try and find a way to make working with you work. And if that's just one of the options they're exploring, the answer is no, they're still exploring different options. And I've had that experience personally myself. So 2 of the biggest things that I do see come up are requests for a discount, like, what's the best you can do? Can you do it for this? Can we, I had someone recently, which again, not making her wrong at all. It was a great way for her to think about how she might be able to get what she wanted. She was asking if we could extend my 5-month coaching program over like 7 months, so that to reduce the rate. So effectively it kind of was a discount, because she'd be effectively getting more support from me, because I offer unlimited support outside of my coaching sessions. So even though the sessions would be the same, the support would go over 7 months rather than 5. So effectively it kind of was a discount, or it was, I looked at it like a discount, but it's kind of a reworking. And I did have someone ask me for an exchange this year. I've never had it happen before, but someone asked me. So I've had experience in both of these this side of the year. So both of these have come up for me in 2020 and they never really had before. So it's so interesting. It's not like these things never happen. It's just like people are looking for ways to make things work, and they can just ask you, right? And I think the biggest thing I stepped into is, just because someone asks doesn't mean I have to say yes, right? I still have 2 options, that I can say yes or I can say no. And I have a clear boundary for myself, and something I really hope to instill in all of my clients is that I'm just a no on discounts and exchanges, okay? And I wanted to just talk you through a couple of the mindset things that I really think about with regards to that, and why, because these have really helped me step into being comfortable saying no, and also helping those people see why I'm a no on that. It's not just like, no, I don't do that, see you later. I'm like, no, like that's not something I do, and here's why. And I can really step in and hold my power around that. And people often really go like, oh, that makes complete sense, okay? So dropping questions, comments, things that come up as we chat about this. If you're having similar experiences, let me know. I'd love to chat. And this is probably going to be a short session today, which is good. So the first thing I think about when I've moved to setting up that really solid boundary for myself, and when I'm asking my clients to set up that boundary for themselves, like once you set up that rule, like I'm just a no to discounts and exchanges, like then that boundary's set. But I think there's some thinking that needs to come beforehand for you to be able to set that boundary for yourself. And these are the questions to kind of think about to help you set that. The first is like, how would I feel if one of my clients found out that they were paying full price but someone else asked for a discount, right? And I think we think in the online world, like no one will ever know each other and that kind of thing. And I once worked with 2 clients completely randomly that both told me they knew each other because they connected in the gym, and they realized they knew each other because they both left testimonials on my Facebook page. Like they connected the dots that they'd both worked with me. So like we never know like who our clients know and that kind of thing, but that kind of doesn't matter. What matters is like, how would you feel And as well, like imagine you're a service provider. Imagine you started working with me or you started working with someone else and you realize like, hey, someone else isn't paying the same price that I am, just because they asked for a discount. Like, how does that make me feel as a client, or how would I feel as the coach sort of like stepping into that? Because it's giving some, like, it's all about the client, I think. And like, as coaches, we're there like to hold space and, you know, help our clients step into their own power. And it really opens up a thought process for them that which could be really not helping in terms of like, why was that other person special? Why didn't I get that? Nothing ever works in my favor. All these kind of stories that in a way we're kind of signing on when we give someone a discount and not for other people, right? So I'm not saying you can never offer discounts, but what I do is like, I offer heaps of free things, right? Like I offer giveaways and free coaching sessions and all of that stuff. And like, just say I was doing like a Cyber Friday or like whatever it's called, Cyber Monday sale, like, you know, as long as it's kind of publicly available and open for everyone, then yeah, like go for it. If it's a giveaway, if it's a special promotional offer, if it's like a launch offer, like all of those things are great. Like you can discount in that way. What I'm talking about here is really that thing where like in a discovery call, someone asks for a discount and someone doesn't. So someone gets it and someone doesn't. That's where I kind of distinguish that. So if there's like a sale that happens or all of those things, and like everyone is available to take that up, that's great. But I think when we are giving preferences to different people behind the scenes, how would they feel as the customer if they found out that? And how would I feel as someone who was paying for services and realized like, oh, if I just asked, I could have got a discount? Like, it's really interesting to think about it from that perspective. So that's helped me too, because I know I wouldn't be that comfortable if two of my clients connected with each other. They'd both signed up for the same services and they were chatting, and one's like, oh yeah, I asked Laura for like $1,000 discount, she gave it to me, and the other one's like, oh man, like it's just not a nice kind of way to operate business. I feel you may feel completely different, but that's kind of one of the things that's really helped me, because I know as a customer I wouldn't enjoy that experience either. So that's something that's really helped me. And as I've chatted with various clients of mine around asking for discounts, that's really landed for them too. So maybe that will land for you. The second one, and this is a biggie, and I think this will relate to a lot of people, is we are teaching our clients a lot of the time to stand in their power and to set boundaries and to hold themselves to them, right? So it kind of is out of alignment if we aren't doing the same. And for me, for example, what I think about that is like, I coach my clients through the sales process. So it would be very weird and kind of difficult for me to hold them to not offering discounts to their clients if I gave them a discount. So imagine that they were working with me up front, that asked, hey, can I get a discount? And I was like, oh yeah, okay, like I'll give you a discount. And then that kept coming up for them during our coaching time together. Right, they kept coming to me saying, this person's asked for a discount. Why is everyone asking for a discount? And I'm like, well, we need to stand in our power and hold our boundary on this, but I didn't do that with them. So how can I coach them through that, right? Like it's in misalignment. Like I'm coaching them through something that I'm not doing, right? And I know not everyone is coaching people through the sales process, but think about like a lot of people are coaching people through like, you know, setting boundaries, you know, backing themselves in their decisions, like, holding their ground in relationships and all kinds of different things, like health, setting boundaries around your health and setting non-negotiables, right? If you haven't stood up for your non-negotiables, right, it's very hard to coach your clients through that, because they're like, they might not even click the dots, but like it's really hard to hold space for someone for something that you haven't fully resolved. So that really landed with a couple of clients of mine too. When I shared that, it's like, if I'm not doing the things that I'm helping someone coach someone through, it's very hard to coach them through that because I'm not standing in integrity. So I think that's a really good way to think about it. So even if you're not coaching someone through like the sales process, but are you supporting them with like setting non-negotiables, committing to the decisions that they've made for themselves, boundaries, all of those kinds of things, if you haven't held the boundary strong for them, in your sales process, it's really tough to do that because the sales process is really the start of coaching. That's how I kind of view it, is like I'm coaching people through the sales process. They're fully empowered to say yes or no, but I show up and hold the space and coach them through that. So that's really powerful too. Hey Sam, hey Lee, hey Nia, there's people jumping in and out. Lovely to see you all here. So let me know if that resonates for you, especially as you're watching the replay or if you're still on here. Like, have you thought about that? In terms of when people ask for a discount, then how do you hold them to account to things that they're not taking and standing in their power for, if that makes sense? I really hope that came through clearly. Because yeah, it's a big one, and these are things to sit and think about when you're setting those non-negotiables for yourself in your business. Even things like, it may apply to things about like, when do I respond to clients, right? Like this is a biggie too. Like if we're telling our clients that they need to manage their time and that they don't have to respond to everyone immediately, and then we're responding to them at like 10 p.m. Instantaneously, like we're almost not holding the space for them to do that. So it's just an interesting way of thinking, not saying that if you work at that time, like that's fine. But for example, for me, like I don't really respond to clients after 6 p.m. at night, right? Like it's kind of a hard boundary. So it's like I practice kind of what I preach, right? And I think I've come to view that like standing up and not taking exchanges or discounts is another way of looking at that. So I hope that helps. Hey Sam. And this is a biggie, okay? It kind of aligns with the second one, but this is the final one I wanted to share with you, is that when someone asks for a discount, or they're kind of saying like, I can't make this work, or how do I explain this? Often people can make it work, or they can make the investment, but it's fear, right? I found this a lot of the time. Like people ask for a discount or ask for the exchange because there's fear around putting that money behind themselves and investing in themselves, okay? Not always. There is just a percentage of people who literally can't afford it, and that's fine, but I'm not kind of speaking to those in this moment. When someone says like, I'm not sure if I can put my money into this, or I'm not sure that I'm going to generate an ROI, or I'm not sure if I'm up for this, right? That's sometimes what they're saying by asking for a discount, because they're like, yeah, I want this thing, but like I'm looking for ways to almost shed some of the risk or shed some of that ability to stretch into it. So I really see coaching and making the investment is like you're stretching up into a new level, and the investment is like the first way that you do that, and then you kind of rise to meet that through your actions, right? If someone says to me, Laura, like I'm really scared, I don't know if I'm, like if I'm up for this, like will I show up for the work, like can I get a discount to make it feel more comfortable, right? Like because it helps them make it feel more comfortable. What I'm effectively doing if I say yes to that is co-signing on their limitations, right? So I'm effectively agreeing like, yeah, maybe you're not up for it. Maybe you won't stretch and rise into this occasion. So, okay, I'll give you a discount. And I know that's not what we're literally saying, but that's almost what our actions are indicating. It's like, yeah, you can't find a way to make this work. You're not resourceful. Like, no, I don't actually think you will show up for the work, so I'll give you a discount, right? Like, it's so interesting, and all of this is subconscious, right? Like, I'm not saying we literally are thinking that, but we're here to hold space for people to rise into that. And I know this is the same whether you coach people in business or anything else. It's like, if you've set the price based on the value and you know that that supports people to commit into the process, to rise to the occasion, to show up for themselves, and then you say, okay, I'm willing to give you a discount on that, you're in some way co-signing on the belief that they won't do those things. Does that make sense, guys? Like, this has been the hugest shift for me. This has been the hugest one for me. If I agree with someone that like, yes, you're not resourceful, yes, you can't find a way to make this work, yes, you might not show up for it and hold yourself to the investment, so I'll give you a discount. Like, can you see how I am effectively agreeing with the way they're limiting themselves? Whereas as a coach, our role is to hold space and say, like, you are resourceful. I know you can make this work. I know you can put in the work to get the results. I believe in you. And the first place I'm holding that space and that belief for you is that you can rise into this. Okay, it is so powerful. That's something I think about a lot on my sales calls, on my discovery calls, when I'm talking with people about working together. Am I in any way not holding space for the doubts and the fears? Like, that's a huge part of it. Like, hold the space for those doubts and those fears. As long as I am not co-signing on them, as long as I'm not signing the dotted line and saying, yeah, your fears are true, like, I'm going to sign along with that and let that play, right? Like, the whole purpose of coaching is to step beyond those fears, step beyond those limitations. And I feel that saying yes to something that, like, where someone is in some way feeling they can't rise to that, really supports them in their way of thinking of, like, yeah, I'm not up for it. Yeah, I won't ever show up for the work in the way. Yeah, this is scary, so I don't move beyond my fear, right? Can you see that? I'd love to just hear from you if that resonates. I know there's just a couple of people on. That has been, like, the biggest one for me. The biggest one, followed by the other two. Like, these are the things that have helped me step and hold the space. And that means that sometimes you may not sign a client, okay? Sometimes that means that you may not sign a client, okay? Or it means that they won't be ready just now, but they might be ready a couple of months from now. And, like, we have to stand in our power around that and trust, right? Because I know when I have discussions with my business friends, they're like, and some of them aren't necessarily coaches, but like, I've got a friend who it comes up for a lot with. I won't say what industry she's in, but like, it comes up a lot. And she's like, oh, but is it better to have $500 come in versus $600? Like, yeah, you know, like, is it better to have the money to come in than have nothing, right? So is it better if my service is $600 and someone wants to ask me to do it for $500? Is it better to agree to the $500, or is it better to let that sale go? Because sometimes that's what happens. And like, I have let sales go because I haven't been willing to do that, and I think that's okay. But yes, like, that's the challenge point you come through, that comes through there. You have to hold your power and your trust around that. And I'm not saying that's easy, right? That's the hardest part. So I've said no to someone who wanted to do like a sort of discount restructure that effectively meant that they would get more of my time for less, and they ended up not signing. Right? I had someone ask for an exchange and I said, no, I don't do that for all of the reasons I've just listed above. And they're like, cool, that makes complete sense. Let me go away and find the money. Right? So we just never know the outcome, and we don't even know, like, even if the discount or the exchange would have made them sign on the dotted line. So I think that's the tricky part that people come up against. But what I've seen to be true is I don't get asked for discounts and exchanges a lot. I've never been asked for them in my whole time of coaching until, for some reason, 2 came up in the last 2 months, right? It's extremely unusual for me, but then I have friends, and I'm not like, I just think there's some layer of energy and mindset going on there where it comes up a lot and they say yes to it and it keeps happening, right? So it's interesting when we stand in our power and say, I'm not available for that, and our actions match that, I'm not available for that, how it comes in less and less. Like, I'm just not available for that, so the conversation just hardly ever comes up. And the couple of occasions where it has, I've showed I'm not available for it, and like, it's happened 2 out of probably, you know, the last 18 months, it's happened 2 times, right? Whereas there's friends that I have where it's happening a lot and they're saying, shit, like, I'm not really available for that, but I'm kind of operating from a lack mindset. So I'm going to say yes to it now, but I'm not available for it going forward. But then it continues to happen, right? Have you ever seen that happen? And sometimes it happens with different things where you're like, your energy and your actions aren't matching what you're saying. So it's important to think about too, like, if you aren't available for discounts or exchanges, then you have to say no, because otherwise they keep coming up, because technically you are available for it if you say yes. And I know it's a challenge point and I know it's tricky, but I always step into the trust that the right people will sign up at the right time, and that in a world of 7 billion people, of course, I can be working with the handful of clients that I want to be working with. Like if I've got a sales funnel that works and I've got a process that I know works and I can sign clients, and I know not everyone feels that way right now, but I feel that way now and I can step more and more into that power. So they were the things I really wanted to share with you today. And it's really that last little conversation there is stepping more and more into abundance mindset and operating less from lack, which is challenging when you feel like you are in lack and you sort of operate from that place, which is kind of those examples where you're saying yes to things that don't align with what you actually want. But I feel like the external things that show up for you mirror what you're available for. Okay, it's just like the same in relationships, right? Like if you go, I'm just making up a scenario, but like just say like you go out on a date with someone and they're like a total, I don't know, just say you just don't like swearing, right? And on the date, like they swear heaps and you say to like, do you know what? Like I find that really offensive. Is that something like, can you stop swearing? And they're like, no, fuck, I'm a fucking swearer, blah, blah, blah. And you're like, cool, like I'm just not available for that. So when they ring you for a second date, you're like, no, sorry, our values just don't match. Like I'm just not available for that, right? And so then like that door is closed and you're looking, for the person that you are available for. And I think that kind of translates to this. I hope that made sense. That was just a random thought bubble there. But like I see it a lot where if we say yes to the things we aren't available for, they continue to come to us because technically we are available for them. Makes sense, doesn't it? So I hope that helps, guys. I hope that's just challenged your thinking on discounts and pricing, because I think sometimes we think as well that we are helping our clients by offering them a discount. If they ask for a discount and we say yes, we can be like, well, I really helped them because now they can work together and they really needed the coaching. But that's where I would circle back to that third question thing that I talked about, which is really like, am I really helping them or am I co-signing on the limitations they currently have on themselves? It is powerful, right? It is powerful. Just like we are helping our clients sometimes through tough love, getting them uncomfortable, talking about the things that they don't necessarily want to talk about, but they need to. That's another example of that here. So I hope that helps. Kristen's on, say hi. I've just wrapped up. I think I've covered those three things. So the three things we really chatted about here in terms of when people ask for discounts and exchanges, how would I feel if my existing clients found out that other people got discounts for asking, like just from a really practical business sense and customer service. The second one is about stepping into your value as a coach and acting from alignment. So like holding the boundaries for yourself so that you can coach other people to hold the boundaries for themselves. And then the third one was really around co-signing on our clients' BS. Are we co-signing and saying, yes, you aren't ready for this. Yes, you can't rise to the occasion. Yes, you aren't resourceful. Or are we willing to hold the space for them to be all of those things and find the strength within themselves, or like the resourcefulness within themselves, or that ability to take action despite fear? Are we holding the space for them to move through that? So there are three powerful things. The other things we chatted about were that when someone asks for a discount or an exchange, just because you say no doesn't mean they're not going to be a client. Sometimes they might not be, sometimes they might still be, right? It doesn't mean it's a no. You get to hold space through that process. And then the other important thing we chatted about was just because someone asks doesn't mean we have to say yes, right? So the power to say no is always there for us. So I hope that helps. Kristen, you might have to go back through and catch the replay to get up to speed with what I'm talking about there. But yeah, if you have questions on this, if you have thoughts, if you have a big realization or a shift in your way of thinking, feel free to leave it in the comments. I love those when you're like, oh, I can see how when I say yes to that, I'm holding my clients, like, holding a sort of cap over their head. Like, I'd love to hear that stuff. So yeah, happy Friday. Hope you have a great Friday. Yeah, I think that's it. I'm going to love you and leave you there because I can drag out the goodbyes for like 10 minutes, but we're really wrapped up. Hope you have a great day and I look forward to chatting with you all very soon again. Bye.